Hey everyone, it's Will and Alex, and today we're in Kyoto, retaking pictures from our Around the World in 2000 Pictures book.
During our 4 days in Kyoto, we were on a mission to recreate 2 photos from our vintage travel book. The first being this one, with the caption, "Stepping stones in Heian Shrine's garden are set crooked so devils will fall off." Here's the second, with the caption, "Kyoto has some 3,000 Buddhist temples and Shinto shrines. One of the most beautiful is Heian Shrine, originally built in 794. This is one of Kyoto's several festivals." As we started doing research for this video, we quickly found out that these book captions are misleading, and in one case, just plain wrong. Besides some basic fact-checking, I also looked into the context of these photos. The book was published in the aftermath of World War II in the mid-1950s. I was curious about 2 things. Firstly, what happened to Japan's festivals during and after the war? And secondly, why did the book focus so heavily on the Heian Shrine when the book mentions Kyoto has over 3,000 temples and shrines? This history deep dive had Alex translating Japanese research papers and trying to fax questions to remote shrines, but it has ultimately led us to make some conclusions, and yes, maybe even speculate wildly. So let's get into it. This is the Heion Shrine, located in the northeast of the city, and it's a great spot for tourists. Adjacent to the shrine is Okazaki Park, which sometimes holds a great flea market. The shrine is also near the Kyoto Prefectural Library, Kyoto Municipal Museum of Art, and the National Museum of Modern Art, Kyoto, ROM Kyoto Theater, and Kyoto City Zoo. The book says it was built in 794, which is not true. The Heian Shrine was built in 1895 to commemorate the 1100th anniversary of the founding of Kyoto City as the capital of Japan. The complex is, however, a 5/8 scaled replica of the original imperial palace first constructed in 794. It has a distinctive Chinese influence throughout, making the architecture stand out from the other shrines in Kyoto. About half of the land area consists of the Shin'en Garden, which is where we were headed to take our first photo.
We just entered into the gardens at the shrine, and it costs $600 for an adult and $300 for kids, and it is cash only.
The garden is designated as a national site of scenic beauty and took 20 years to construct. It consists of 4 sub-gardens, each influenced by a different period of history. The stepping stones we sought are in the northeast part of the garden, known as the Middle Garden. The book says these stones are set crooked so that devils will fall off, but I haven't seen that information repeated anywhere. In fact, these stones are called Garyu-kyo, literally meaning hidden dragon bridge, due to the meandering placement of the stones said to evoke the curving line of the dragon's back. The stones were cut from pilings once used in bridges over the Kamo River in Kyoto. Recycling stone like this was a defining feature in the landscape designer WWII VII's work. He's considered a pioneer of the modern Japanese garden, and the west, middle, and east gardens are all some of the earliest examples of his work. Let's focus for a minute on the next photo that's labeled simply as one of Kyoto's several festivals. While there are many festivals that take place throughout the year in Kyoto, there are 3 main festivals. Our trip lined up with the biggest one, Gion Matsuri, that takes place basically the entire month of July. I'll put some helpful links below that outline the main events of the festival.
Good morning everyone, Alex and Will, and today is July 17th, which means it is a big parade day in Kyoto for the Festival of Gion, and we just got out of our hotel and we're excited to go see some floats and hopefully retake a picture for our book.
We slept in a little bit longer than normal today, but that's okay because it's hot anyways. I'm gonna hit some convenience store on the way there, and then we are going to just enjoy the festival for the afternoon.
It's crazy busy here with the festival. Like, we showed you footage from last night. it's a lot. So we'll see how much you can take today.
Once more into the fold.
A cornerstone of the Gion Matsuri is the Yamahoko Float ceremony, which happens every year on July 17th. Since the 14th century, people have lined the streets to see these towering floats, each constructed by a different neighborhood in Kyoto. Made only of pine beams and hemp rope, these floats can weigh over 10 tons and stand at around 80 feet tall. Each float is unique, decorated with tapestries and treasures from the Edo period. You'll hear them before you see them. This style of music is only played during the Gion Festival using 3 main instruments: gongs, flutes, and drums. While there is an opportunity to see the floats close up the night before the parade, we were lucky to get close to one while it was waiting to begin its procession. Not a perfect match, but still a festival in Kyoto. I've seen cows pulling carts in several photos, including the Imamiya Festival in Gion Matsuri, one of the other main festivals in Kyoto. Both of these festivals include the carrying of a portable shrine around town, which is also what happens during Gion. During the night of the Yamahoko parade, we were caught up in the portable shrine, or Mikashi procession. You might notice that these 2 big events are carried out by men, which leads me back to the initial question of what happened to these festivals during wartime. As you might expect, starting in 1943, air raids forced the suspension of festivals throughout the country. With a lack of manpower and resources, many cultural and religious events were halted or scaled down from anywhere between 3 to 10 years. During my research, I learned about the post-war Shinto directive, issued on December 15, 1945, that greatly impacted festivals like Gion. The order was given to the Japanese government by the United States occupation authorities to abolish state support for the Shinto religion. The occupation authorities had come to the conclusion that the Shinto religion had fostered a dangerous and ultra-nationalistic mindset and forced the Japanese government to adopt a strict separation of church and state. While this had widespread impacts on the Japanese government and how it was run, it also greatly affected festivals and all religious ceremonies. The directive stated that no public funds whatsoever could be used to support Shinto shrines, priests, or any type of religious festivals, rituals, or rites. The organizers of the Gion Festival and the Yamahoko Parade needed to pivot. Without public funding, it was a really grassroots effort by the community to save the centuries-old tradition. The festival was temporarily reclassified as a shrine private festival until a better solution could be made. That eventual solution was to embrace the festival as a central element to develop Kyoto into a hub of international tourism. The cultural heritage of the festival is recognized as a tourist resource and a moving museum of ancient art. This allowed the festival to receive some city subsidies and become a model for other festivals around the country. So, back to my second question. Why does the book focus so heavily on the Heian Shrine? Out of all the temples and shrines in Kyoto, maybe this was just the author's favorite. Maybe its location is best for tourists. Maybe it doesn't mean anything at all. But I think there's an interesting connection to be made here with the aforementioned Shinto directive. According to the directive, certain doctrines were specifically banned. The first one being that the emperor is superior to the other rulers because he is descended from the sun god Amaterasu. Up until then, it was thought that the emperor is divine in origin. In 1946, the Japanese emperor actually had to release a statement called the Humanity Declaration, stating that he is not a living god. I find it interesting that the Heion Shrine is not just a massive Shinto shrine, but is also where 2 former emperors are enshrined as deities. When the shrine was built in 1895, a shrine deifying the emperor Kamu was constructed. He was the first emperor who ruled here in Kyoto in 1940, the Emperor Komei, the last emperor to reside in Kyoto, was enshrined here as well. Perhaps not directly a political statement, but I do think the focus on the Heian Shrine is an interesting one. Only a few years after the Shinto Directive and the Humanity Declaration, this shrine is emphasized above all others. Do you guys think it could be just a coincidence, or a nod to pre-war Japan? Let us know what you think in the comments. We definitely enjoyed our time retaking these photos and learning more about the meaning behind them. Be on the lookout for our full Kyoto itinerary coming soon. Till then, bye.